Hey Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome to Tlatoani, where the story of trying to build the biggest possible city in this game is going to take us down some insane roads. First of all, what you're about to witness is not my first attempt, not my second attempt, not my third attempt, it is my fifth attempt. And in between those attempts, I have found ways to break the game in ways that the developer never imagined, to the point where patches have been released in the early access branch specifically to fix things that I have discovered. Yes, there is a patch for this game named after me, and that should give you an idea of just how far we're going to push this game today. Before we get started, I want to make sure that I thank Paradox Arc, Bellwood Studios, and Perspective Games for sponsoring this video, and if you are at all interested in playing the game and breaking it like I have, please go down to the description of the video and click the link because it makes me look better to the publisher, thus earning me better sponsorship deals in future. And do keep in mind, I only take sponsorships for games I actually think are good. So in a way, if I accept a sponsorship for a game, it's kind of an endorsement. Now, welcome to Xochitl Milko. This, dear viewer, is not an empty map. No, it is not a beautiful reflection of gameplay. It is, in fact, a blank canvas, a canvas upon which we will sketch and draw and paint and create beautiful music. See it not as an empty map of green forests, rolling meadows, crunchy, delicious hills, and wet water. No, see it as a canvas of creativity that we can fill with the urbanization of the Aztec Empire. There are, of course, first orders of business that we need to attend to. While we do have a relatively healthy coffer of 6,000 axe monies, that will get eaten up quite quickly if we continue to import food, timber, clay, and stone. So we need to secure our own deposits of these resources for the expansion of our empire. The easiest among these is to get wood. We can place ourselves a pair of sawyers over here near these trees and secure ourselves wood income into the future. However, I'm also going to need a little mason yard here. Masons are going to be the cornerstone of how we expand our city. Basically, when you have a porter building like this trading post here, the workers here will help with construction. However, they will only do it within a certain range of the actual porter yard. If you want to have a more extensive construction industry, you're going to need a mason yard because these guys will wander much further than other types of workers to build things. And we shall also build ourselves a few basic common homes to house our first fledgling workers. And I shall build a road all the way out to this swampy area because this is where we'll be able to get ourselves some clay. These homes will of course naturally need access to a sweeper who will sweep away any filth and leavings. And a sentry post will keep them safe and secure as well. And to supply these homes with their necessary goods, a market will need to be built in the area. So we'll just get that little market going and it will grab this maize and distribute it to these houses. These houses need wood, food, pottery, and this waste product taken away. And thus our starting population of about 24 total citizens, which equals about 240 population, are beginning to put together a city that we can be proud of. The 100-year city that we are building right now will hopefully stand the test of time. Now that we have two sawyers up, we can now stop importing timber and instead export just a small amount of timber per year. The idea being that this will generate a very, very small amount of revenue for us. No, I've changed my mind. The trading post will just be host to eight timber to be distributed to the locals and to my industry. The next resource we're going to get our hands on are clay pits. We're going to place down 2 clay pits over here. And once they are built and staffed, we can stop importing clay, saving us so much money because look how much we are spending on imports. We are going to be broke very quickly. Now, something we can do to help with these costs and expenses is to build a tax collector who will collect revenues from the local area, thus helping us form a more profitable society. And of course, nobody builds a city over 100 years to build a city that doesn't make money. Come on, why else do you think we're here? Perfect. Now that our clay pits are online, we do need to keep in mind that the trip times here are quite long. The staff here need to travel a very, very long distance to get to their home. So we will want to build some houses over here. And that's going to be sort of a more long-term thing. We're not super interested in that just yet, but we can now stop importing clay, and we can build another small group of houses over here to form the basis of this little chunk of an economy. People won't move in if there aren't jobs and goods and things and services that they need. So it's fine that there's too many houses right now. We're just pre-building infrastructure. That's all we're doing. I'll be building a porter yard over here for the purpose of picking up this clay. Always need somewhere to store your wares. And I'll put a tiny little porter stop over here whose job it will be to acquire clay for the local economy. Eventually we might upgrade this to a larger type of stop, but for now, that's fine. And yet more of our money is being spent on imports. The importation of stone is especially expensive, so that'll be one that we need to get rid of. We can import maize for quite a long time without it being much of an issue, but the stone we absolutely need to fix as soon as possible, which we can fix with this beautiful stone outcropping over here. I shall place myself two healthy stone quarries and a porter yard whose job it is to hold that stone. And then I shall put a porter stop over here whose job it shall be to request and bring that stone to the center of my town. And now that we are producing stone, once these are built, we can stop importing stone, and that'll save us so much money. Stone is expensive. It's very, very, very expensive. And this will be the basic economy built up, and we can start building our food economy. Ah, yes, perfect. Our stone quarries are online, our porter yards are online, and so now we can stop importing stone. The last thing we need to deal with is food for our people. They hunger. They have access to maize, but they need more. And in order to do some farming, we need to take a look at the fertility. You can see that near forest is generally infertile, so we don't want to be farming over here. This is a good place to actually build the city itself. But this coastal marshland, fantastic for farming. Beautiful farming out here, beautiful farming out here. Lovely farming in and around here as well. Look at those amazing farm locations. And so my thought is that we should set up a small rural farming kind of area, maybe with like a bit of fishing in and around this water. So I'm going to build a nice road out to here. We're going to want a porter yard plus a mason yard. The porter yard will be set to get timber, clay and stone for the purpose of feeding the mason yard for construction work, and also providing a baseline of resources in the area for the people of the town. We'll need a small market to feed the people of this farming village, and a couple of beautiful little farming huts. I'll put one right there. We are going to have to irrigate this, and the irrigation will look something like this. It'll be a farm that is 3 wide, because irrigation canals can irrigate up to 3 tiles away, and then we'll pull the irrigation canals towards the water. These early farm huts will be heavily focused on the production of fruit trees. Fruit trees are quite unique in that the more fruit trees there are adjacent to each other, the slower they grow food, but it is really good to get early fruit trees growing to get your population some basic foodstuffs and dietary variety. Takes a long time for fruit to become relevant, but I think it is worth it to get it going early. And I'm no longer going to import maize. Instead, I'm going to try to grow it all myself. I will pop a beautiful little granary right here. And this granary's job will be to store the maize and fruit and the fish that this area will be producing. This is where we're going to build up the baseline economy for our people's diets. And now I'm going to start exporting maize, timber, clay, and stone to try to claw back a very, very small amount of income. We need to stop losing money. And from this point onwards, we need to be self-sufficient. And while that will take a very long time, it will be worth it if we can achieve it. Now, something to note is that when fruit trees are fresh, they do not produce any food. They need to grow to maturity to actually produce any food per year. This fruit tree supports 0 population. When you compare that to this maize field, for example, which can support almost 10 population. We're going to place a whole bunch of chinampas, aka floating gardens, whose purpose is to reclaim the land for farming. It will take some time for these to mature, but over the course of time, it will provide us with a very, very healthy amount of land to make use of in our quest for economic power. Now, once the chinampas have been built, they do take a while to mature. You can see here, their maturation takes a while to come to fruition. I'm going to build a granary over here, as well as over here. These buildings will need their own supply of maize, fruit, and fish. All right, I'm going to build a porter yard for timber that just holds timber, and I'm going to add myself an extra pair of sawyers whose job it is to make sure that we have a very, very healthy supply of timber. And now, dear people, can you start to see the landscape filling in? We have reached a pinnacle of 900 population, 90 total citizens. 'Tis a beautiful sight. 'Tis a beautiful thing. My chinampas are starting to mature, reclaiming land from the water. My irrigation canals are complete, giving a 50% growth bonus to, yes, fruit trees that are as of yet completely immature and not able to support any population. But these maize fields will be able to support a much larger population. Oh, look at that money that we're getting from exporting stone. Stone is honestly the best thing for us to export. We just can't really afford to build up a much bigger stone economy right now. It will be part of our plans, but right now we got to get our food going. Yes, the chinampas have completed. They have reclaimed beautifully fertile land here. Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to continue to reclaim fertile tile for the purpose of the expansion of farm. Yes, reclaim the land from the sea. Poseidon does not exist in our lore, but if he did, oh, he would be my enemy. Now, in order to support our economy, we are going to need money. So I think now is a good time to actually add those 2 extra stone quarries. There's a beautiful outcrop right here that we can harvest a ton of stone from. And we have a pretty good stone surplus, honestly. We're short of common workers, which means I need to build more of these farms. Each farm can house not only some farmers, but also some commoners. Okay, we're going to need well dippers. Well dippers will help with the population's happiness. Build ourselves a little well dipper with a sweeper and a sentry post here to prevent some crime. Yes, Poseidon is our enemy. Fight against the sea. Reclaim the land. Let the Belgian Dutch blood in your veins flow through in the battle against the sea. Reclaim the land, my children. Take your birthright, the ocean's bounty, to be stepped upon. Now let's double check on the old city mood. You can see here physical health has become a bit of an issue for my people, which means they now need access to herbalists. Even if you don't have herbs, I'm pretty sure herbalists help. So that's simply worth noting. And also farms are quite good in that they can be supervised by Zippe Totek, which will also fulfill the religious desire of these people. So I'm going to build a shrine to Zippe Totek. And now, excellently, these workers, not only do they have access to their religious desires, they are being fulfilled and given a slight boost to their output. We just crossed the milestone of having 1,000 people. We got 1,400, roughly speaking. Beautiful. And the people of these houses, they're not amazingly happy, but they do at least have access to both maize and fruit. Yes, reclaim the sea. It is your birthright. More chinampas. Oh, our first storm. We are 6 years into the city, and while progress is slow in the early days, once our economy becomes overwhelmingly powerful, things will pick up their pace. I promise you that. The floods have come, which will very lightly damage our buildings, but the mason yard should be able to keep up with keeping our buildings alive and healthy. It's time to show our dominance over nature by building stone pathways, which are quite expensive, but do make the people of the town happier. I don't know if it makes them faster, but it's definitely prettier. There is a way to speed up the reclamation of the land, and that is through the use of canals. So I'm going to set up an extensive canal network, like so. It'll take a little bit of time to get fixed up, but once it is, it will make the reclaiming of this land so much simpler, because now we can reclaim the entirety of this coastline all at once and begin setting up our fishing industries. Ooh, perhaps I have erred and dug too far. I need to cancel all this. But you can see this reclaimed land is incredibly fertile, so it will be fantastic once we can actually get it being farmed and all that sort of stuff. I do like how the deer make use of your roads as they run around the map. It's incredible that they'll just be like, oh yeah, that road that the humans made, it's perfect for us. So unfortunately, I think because this is so close to the map edge, I won't be able to set up a fishing wharf in the area, which obviously isn't ideal. However, we can set up a little bit more farming, and then maybe a small pottery industry here to support the rest of our city. This porter yard right here will be set to accept as much pottery as we can stuff into it. Flanking it will be 2 pairs of kilns. Honestly, even maybe 6 kilns in total, plus 1. Okay, clay pits need a little bit more room. I think 2 clay pits can feed three kilns, and then a delicious little porter yard whose job it will be is to store a little bit of clay, but mostly get timber to fuel the kilns, because the kilns require both clay and timber, so we'll need an extra supply of wood in the area to keep these kilns going. And then once these small cottages start getting access to pottery, they should upgrade to the third type of cottage called a large cottage, and they'll be able to store an extra pop each. So this will increase the population capacity of my town by 160. We have almost hit 2,000 population, by the way, which is very nice as a beginning. Considering we're 10% of the way through, you might be thinking, wow, you've only got 2,000 people in 10 years? Well, this was all setting up the economy. You wait until we actually get going. I'm going to be mass reclaiming land. This is only the beginning. Speaking of mass reclaiming of the land, I think now's a good time to begin. Oh, yes. My town has evolved. We now have large cottages, meaning these farmhouses can house 7 total families. That's 700 people per every single one of these large cottages, which is a beautiful, sorry, not 700, 70. I overestimated slightly. Even so, still, a really healthy number of people per house. Now with this second area of farms, we're going to slightly de-emphasize fruit and more emphasize chili. So I'll just be having 1 row of fruit trees per farm rather than 2, and then a single row of maize, and then delicious chilies. We need to increase the variety of food in our people's diets. Year 16 of the megacity, and we have reached 2,670 population, but we have reclaimed an absolutely massive area, and we're now producing a gargantuan amount of fish, which of course is being distributed to my population, and the people don't eat that much fish. That, however, is not the important thing. The important thing is that they have access to fish. As the more diverse the diet of my people, the less susceptible they are to negative health effects. Yes, my pretties, reclaim the land, reclaim the birthright that I have brought forth for you. We must worship gods. We must become gods. Cut down these trees that are an affront to progress. The city must expand. The grid of farmland that will support us into the future must expand. Time is against us, and yet time is also our greatest friend. O ye of much faith, I beseech thee to create the most beautiful of farmlands. My goal in here is to produce an absolutely astronomical amount of fish from this district, and the hope is that I can use the ridiculous amount of fish that we're producing here to feed the rest of the city. We do need a handful of homes in here, and they're also going to need services like well dippers and sweepers and sentries. I have started construction of another farming district, and now that I have an excess of resources, I don't have to build them piece by piece. I can pretty much build it all at once. And so now the rate of expansion in our empire will be insane. And this is like the rate of expansion that's being insane is only the food producing sector, right? Wait until once we have an overwhelming amount of food, wait until I actually expand the population centers. These farming areas, they're just to support the ultra huge population centers that I'll be building over here on the green flatland. And now I'm going to fill in this farming district with all of the beautiful food production that we're going to require. Yes, we shall farm maize, we shall farm fruit and chilies. Oh, it's so satisfying is that when you're done, you can just drag chilies across the whole area. And now there's another farming district well on its way to creation. Year 20, our population has hit 3,690. We are slowly but surely improving the lot of our people. The citizens of my large cottages are hungry for cloth. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a trading post over here, and I'm going to talk to Chalco. We need access to Magui, because with this Magui, we will be able to create cloth. So I'm going to open trade with Chalco, and I'm going to assign this trading post to Chalco, and I will start importing as much Magui as humanly possible. And then I will place down a handful of cloth weavers here whose job will be to turn those Magui fibers into cloth. I'll need a porter yard to hold that cloth, and then I will need to import cloth to my nearby markets, because the markets can actually distribute cloth. That is an option, but it's not quite that simple. In fact, I'm also going to remove 2 of these cloth weavers, because it's probably a good idea for me to produce pulche so that my markets will have access to it as well, since that can be distributed to temples to improve the offerings quality. And now the true reclamation wave begins. Wave after wave of chinampas will be built to reclaim the land. It will be a slow process, but our workers will rapidly deploy to build all these chinampas, these floating gardens. Yes, my houses have evolved. They have become fancy cottages. This is the maximum level that these houses can achieve. A maximum of 7 families. But this high quality of housing will lead to a high level of prosperity and also, generally speaking, a high level of housing quality, leading to people being quite happy. Now, this area over here is one of the few areas on the map that can actually potentially provide stone as a resource. So I'm likely to clear all this up and build a rather large and extensive stone mining operation here. I also believe it's time that we started piping water. And so I'm going to set up a cistern. This will provide us with the basic infrastructure that will be able to provide our people with high quality water, which will be required when we start actually building up our worker districts with these common homes. Now that our farmer districts are starting to hit maximum level thanks to having 0 complaints in them, my hope is that higher houses actually get better tax rates. The property tax has been incredibly profitable for me. I'm going to set up a series of gardens here to separate my housing district that I'm building from this industrial district. I've set up 3 trading posts that are going to be filled with stone, and their purpose is to just make sure that we are exporting the maximum amount of stone that we can every year to Tenochtitlan. And that's because every single export of stone to this city is worth, I believe, 200 axe monies each. So now we need to actually set up the industrial stone quarries that will be producing that excessive amount of stone. No, stone is actually worth 70 axe monies per load, which means we can get up to 1400 axe monies per year as long as we're able to max out these exports. And I think having 3 trading posts working on it will do the job. Year 25 has just about finished, which means we're 1/4 of the way through this challenge. Now, we don't even have 1/4 of the map filled in. So I'm wondering if I'll even be able to pull this off. We are up to 5,410 population, which is not bad. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but we need more. To be fair, I've only just built my first actual housing district in here, and it's still in the process of upgrading. I've also been spending a lot of time mass reclaiming all of this water tile over here. Every ounce of land that we can reclaim is more land that we can put houses on. Perfect. These houses have made it to large house size, meaning they can host up to 120 people each. All they need now is clean water. So I have spent a little bit of time experimenting, basically is what I was doing over here, and I figured out what I need to build my population centers. So I'm going to go back to building my farming zones, but before we do that, I reckon we could even diversify the diet of my population even more by building turkey hutches. And so that's definitely going to be part of my plans. Lovely, our aqueduct is now ready. It means the only thing that's keeping this house from reaching its pinnacle is access to fresh water and a slightly better quality of diversion. And that will allow us to have the ultimate fancy house. I cannot wait until I can make that happen. It'll take just a little bit of time. God, there's something just so satisfying about terraforming away nature and taking over, becoming master of the land. Mastery over nature is something just chef's kiss. Another farming district is put under construction. We have reclaimed so much land. There's just something just so satisfying about building these rows of beautiful farmland, knowing that my people are going to be well fed with chilies, maize, and fruit, that they're going to have a diverse, healthy diet. You know, I really do think that I would be a benevolent dictator. Like if I was running, you know, for who's going to be the dictator of the world, and I saw me and I knew me, I'd vote for me. I'm awesome, you know? And you know, maybe this is just the narcissism coming out. Who knows? I like to think we would all be the good guy. You know, that we would look after our fellow peoples. That we wouldn't all just go out of our way to enrich ourselves. No, we would work hard, help each other out. And I think that's what video games teach us, okay? Is that we can work together. We don't have to, but we can. I don't think that's what video games teaches us at all, to be honest with you. Really what video games teach us is that distraction is something you can monetize. But it's not like that's a new lesson. That's something we've known forever. We've been monetizing distraction for thousands of years. It might actually be the oldest, it's related to the oldest profession. Second oldest profession is a dude, doing a handstand for pennies. It's a humble but fulfilling job. All right, we're 35 years in. Oh God, I need to build faster. Now I'm starting to feel like I'm running out of time. I thought I was going super fast. Now I'm concerned. We'll be fine. Listen, we can respond to the changing dynamics. I feel like I have mastered the art of building agricultural districts. Like I could replicate. I wish there was like a copy paste function that I could copy paste this whole sector, because this is all you need to make fancy cottages, right? Which can house up to 70 people each in really happy format. I think it's time that I worked on large houses, because I think these are the ones that can house a lot more people. And I'm going to try to design the perfect district. Here's the basic layout that I've come up with. A large square-like pattern where services are distributed primarily towards the center of the town. We have hit the golden 8,400 number. And currently as it stands, this common area can house a ton of people. Every single one of these houses can house a minimum of 8 families, 80 people per house. Now, we also need to provide them with jobs, so it will take some time before they're truly happy to fulfill their role. So now we have large houses, and the only thing we need to give them is better access to clean water and maybe, just maybe, slightly better entertainment. The problem I have is that while I have a huge amount of space in these fancy cottages and in my large houses, the people aren't interested in moving in. So I think a way that I can maybe encourage people is by raising the wages. If people don't want to come live in your nightmare dystopia, offer them better wages. A tale as old as time. The grid returns. Some of you may be familiar with the grid. The grid is everything. It is all. It is love. It is life. It is the answer to every question. It is the question to every answer. It is the ephemeral dog barking at the moonlight. The grid knows only consumption, for that is what it is here for. It is here to consume the land and hit the gritty. Yes, unleash the water, let it flow from the spring. Please let the water flow. There is but one, maybe a handful of tiles that are not yet created. It took me 42 years to get my people fresh water. Is it coming? It is here. It is here. The people have. Clean water is being distributed. Yes. Okay, I see. Only certain buildings require clean water. Ah, that makes sense. Okay, so only the basin and the... Ah, I see. So actually 2 of these cisterns are a waste. And so I can delete this one and all of its parts because they are unnecessary. The discovery of a lifetime. Only the basin and the steam bath requires piped water. The buildings get water from those. And by placing a barracks right here, I can hit this whole district, and then I could probably reflect this district to duplicate it. Just mirror image it over here. But yes, the people wanted barracks. Or maybe I could make this area the noble district. Ooh, there's something interesting about that. Oh my god, 50 recruits. Oh, there's so many recruits. We need to produce furniture. Okay, very well. We shall get you your furniture, good sir. Okay, I'm setting up a woodworking area over here to the east of my little townland to see if we can't get the people of this village a little bit of furniture, you know? Okay, you need, I think, it seems like you need obsidian to make furniture. And so I need to find a source of obsidian. Let's have a look. Chalco does not sell obsidian. Titlan will, but it'll be expensive. Okay, looks like Tlacopan will sell obsidian. Very well. Bring me all of the Dyna finest obsidian, sir. You'll sell me 15 per year. Yes, here we go. Our very first fancy house. And each one of these fancy houses can house 140 people. That is quite dense. But I am not satisfied with a population of 10,000. No, I need more. My obsession with more population will not be quenched with this meager following of people. Yes, reclaim the land, bring it all under our sway. Oh, we must reclaim every inch of land. Give it back to the people. We've hit a peak of 11,000 people, 48 years into the game. I've massively expanded my farming operations that are down here, and we finally started to produce cotton, which will be instrumental in making sure that my nobles are happy because they actually require cotton cloth. I think now is the time that we begin the great reclamation. Every ounce of coastal lowland will be brought underneath our boot. Yes, it is a horrific amount of chinampas, a horrific amount of land to recede and control and bring back under our control. I am at war with the ocean. Poseidon himself cannot stop me. It's officially the 50th year of our challenge, and we have made it to 12,000 population, which is just about the biggest city that I've ever built in this game. And man, I'm really quite proud of it. I feel like we're making really good progress. Now that we're attacking the ocean, we're on a full-scale war. We've managed to build a highly dense neighborhood in here. Although admittedly, there aren't really enough jobs for my people. The biggest problem I have is jobs and city mood. I need to bring my people's mood up, and I'm in the process of building not only the Royal Palace, but the Great Temple. 20,000 days. That is how long we have spent building this city, and we are not done. In fact, the true work is only about to begin because we need to start building. First order of business is to take chinampas and drag them across the entire map, even if it lags the game out and causes my computer to have an aneurysm. We must destroy all water. All water must be removed. We also built this really big temple. This temple over here needs like some kind of special golden thing that I haven't figured out how to make, but what I have discovered is something kind of neat. We got God mode in here. Now, the cool thing about God mode is this will actually allow us to place things we normally couldn't. Like, normally we can't make Maguis, but we can't. So if we ever hit like a roadblock for resources, we could totally just activate God mode. It's kind of neat, actually. I didn't know that that was there till the developer told me. I'm trying to think, if approximately 100 people can live at a small, 100 people can live at a small house, that means a single large market can tend to about 30 common homes because it has service use for 3,000 people. 7, 8, 9, 10. So my thought is if I do 2 rows of 2 times 7 houses, that should be 2,800 people, which is what this large market can handle. And then we can have the service building area in between blocks. This is kind of like a replicatable, repeatable neighborhood size, kind of like the theory that I'm working with here. Okay, I think this is a first experiment, and it has worked pretty reasonably well. We got not a huge amount of extra population, but there is a decent amount of population living in here. And so I'd like to replicate this to see if I can maybe optimize it a little bit. Yes. Let us expand. I think I can make this even better. A new neighborhood is under construction, and this one kind of looks quite successful, actually. I'm pretty happy with the way that my services managed to work out, and I definitely feel like I'm starting to optimize how I can cram enough people in to be serviced by a single large market. These houses over here are starting to upgrade as well, which is quite nice. And I've kind of opted with this design where I build 5 houses, put a temple in the center, then 5 houses, put a temple, 5 houses, temple, 5 houses, temple. That way I can get all 6 temples for each of the gods in here. Now I do need to optimize the sort of layout a little bit because, you know, this guy's having trouble getting herbs and pulque and all that sort of stuff. But it'll you know, there's something coming together here that I'm quite proud of. Also, we're using a ton of clay, which tells me I need to set up a clay industry. Now, an issue that we're running into that will only be able to be solved using the God mode is that we simply cannot import enough Magui. No matter how much Magui we import across the land, I mean, I guess in theory, we could start importing Magui from Tenochtitlan as well. Like if I were to set up 2 trading posts here who were designed to trade with Tenochtitlan and just get as much Magui as humanly possible, I don't know if we can get enough, realistically. We'll try it, we'll see, but I'm uncertain. I'm also struggling to get enough workers. That's one of my problems, is people just aren't moving into my town fast enough. No matter how fast I expand it, the population just doesn't fill the empty places. Even with our mood being incredibly high. I think I'm starting to come to an idea here with how I want to shape my neighborhoods. And this is almost correct, but what I actually want to do is perhaps something a little bit more like this. Let me pitch this to you live, okay? What if we did commoners' homes in groups of 5 like so? 3 of these groups represents the housing capacity of a maximum total capacity of about 1,500 people. Okay, which means about a single temple can support them. And so I place three in between them, and then I will reflect this across and build an inverted version of this. And in between goes the service buildings, because this should house about 3,000 people, which is about what a single market can handle. And here's the thing, if I cut another house on each of these, I could go well dipper, herbalist, alcove to fulfill the needs. That will cover these 3 housing blocks with their basic needs. Now I started importing Magui from Tenochtitlan. We can import 20 per year. I think a single god mode farm can produce 8 per year. So eventually, in order to sustain cloth production, we are going to need to god mode in Magui farms, because there just isn't enough Magui on the map to support our population. So now what I'm thinking is, right, this well dipper can service about 1,200 population. Each of these common homes holds about 10 people, which means there are 12 common homes, which is 1,200 people, which is about the well dipper's capacity. So I feel like I'm getting somewhere in terms of optimizing the city's layout. Similarly, sweepers can handle 1,200 population, as can sentry posts. So for every well dipper, I need a sweeper and a sentry post. God, I feel like I'm onto something here. I feel like this has got to be close to starting to become optimal. We're definitely getting somewhere here. I don't know if it's ideal, but it's somewhere. And that is really exciting. The grid, the 100-year city expands and grows. Our huge reclamation of farmland up here has almost been completed. I'm going to set up a trading post that gets timber, clay, and stone. And there will be a couple mason yards in the area, giving us workers who can start to expand into this forest where we're going to produce an insane amount of lumber. This is going to be a massive lumber production area. Turns out trading posts are actually pretty sick for using as just storage. You don't have to worry about them. My well dippers are not doing their job defeating the fires. So I'm going to build a very, very long road into this forest. Now, how deep can I build sawyers? And how, okay, so this is the deepest I can build a sawyer, right there. Which means there's no reason to develop path further than that. And then we're going to need somewhere for this sawyer to put its goods. And trading posts right here will do the job. So I think what I will do is something like this. Sawyers deep into the forest in pairs, with trading posts at the end to pick up all the timber that they create. Now we also need somewhere for the people to live nearby in order to supply this with workers that don't walk for a very, very long time. That'll be something we work on in a moment, but I want to see how efficient this kind of a layout is, the sort of reaching deep in to dig up, or rather chop down the wood. I'm curious to see if we can get enough workers and lumber from there. Lovely. So large amounts of lumber are now being produced by the sawyers of this forest. These guys are in the deep forest digging up wood for me. Now I wonder if it's getting stored in this trading post. What we need is a ton. These guys have low stock, which means it is getting out, which is good. And I'm thinking I can add another group of sawyers up towards the trading posts themselves, which will further enable the mass production of wood. That's what we like to see. A ton of wood is getting through, meaning that we now have a surplus of wood. Ooh, 18,000 population. 63% of my population is working, 33% are children that are still growing up. We've got a very young demographic for this city, which I guess in theory bodes well for the future of the city, right? Got a young demographic, means we've got a huge amount of population that we can call upon for future wars, conquest. Not that that's something I would do. I would never conquer. That's a different guy would do that. That's not a potato thing to do. But yeah, my empire's hunger for wood is incredibly strong. Looks like some of my buildings down here are in poor repair, so I will go ahead and pop down a mason yard right there. Maintenance is important. Now it looks like we're starting to run out of pottery, so I will have to set up a pottery production line probably down here somewhere. So let me go ahead and grab myself some chinampas. We'll start thinking about that as a direction. So we've secured a bunch of wood. We're good. We are good on wood. Let's have a look at our commerce advisor, and I want to take a look at pottery. We're projected to produce 30 and we're consuming 29, so we're not quite able to sustain our population on pottery right now. That's going to be a bit of a bottleneck, so we'll need to work on that. And I love to see these warehouses starting to fill up with wood, because that means any of my other warehouses that need wood will be having a much easier time getting them. So each of these fancy cottages can hold up to 8 people. And if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 8 times 8, which is 640 people per row, which is about 1,200 people, which means a well dipper can just about service this area. So somehow, by magic accident, I managed to come up with an almost perfect ratio of farmhouses. About 8 farmhouses can be sustained by a single well dipper. No, I did my math wrong. I need 2. Hold on. If it's 8 houses housing 80 people, yeah, that's 1,280. So a single well dipper can almost successfully sustain one of these villages. But they're never going to really hit max population, right? Because there's always going to be a couple of houses that are missing a population. So this, just by pure accident, without even mathing it out, just vibing it out, I managed to come up with a near perfect system. And I'm quite proud of that fact. Now, the beautiful thing that I can do here is set up a ton of clay pits at the end of this brand new farming village that I've created. And I'm slowly starting to build up a new model of how to optimize my farming village designs. I am quite excited at the potential that this farming village has. I feel like I'm getting close to optimization here, which is a very, very exciting idea, to have discovered a optimal farming village setup, which would allow me to maximize not only the population but also the production in terms of food from this land. Oh, I just discovered an ancient misclick. Oh god, I misclicked with this irrigation canal. Oh, that's painful. That's going to take years of rebuilding. Oh, sweet mercy. Something I've also discovered is that sweepers have a walk range of 25 tiles, while sentry posts only have a walk range of 20 tiles, which means I should probably make sure that my sentry posts are on corners, which maximizes their walk range down both lanes. We're learning very small optimizations here. I honestly could not tell you how many hours I've put into this city, how many hours I've put into this game so far. Jeez, never mind the city. So I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clay pits. I could have 10 clay pits per farming village, or I could set things up thusly. If I were to put kilns in between each clay pits can't be placed adjacent to each other. It would mean I would have a surplus of both pottery and clay from this area. Whereas this way, I get 4 clay pits per side, plus 3.5 kilns, which I think is actually a lot more optimal and a lot better. And this is going to give my city not only a surplus of clay, because a kiln, it does not use the total production of a single clay pit, not by a long shot. Now, I think something that might be worth doing is figuring out a way to get more houses closer to these industrial areas, because their production capabilities is quite limited due to the fact that they are quite far from their houses. I suppose building housing districts at the end of farming districts would be a way to alleviate that a little bit. Ooh, we managed to break 21,000 population, and it's only year 67. We still have 33 years with which we can build this city. And remember, the rate at which we're building the city is accelerating. Now, I think I've come up with a new optimal way to set up my farming zone. So we've got a storage building down here near where the industry works. Then we've got rows of farmhouses that are serviced by a large market, giving them all the supplies that they need. And we aren't quite getting supplies to the farmers market, but we also have a mason yard down here that keeps these industries in good repair, keeps this area in good repair. We have a porter yard importing resources for the mason house to be able to actually build stuff. They have their education, they have their sentry and their sweeper, this shrine. Oh, the only thing I need to do is actually to build a few mosaics to connect the shrine. We've got a well dipper, we've even got a tax collector, an alcove, and a herbalist. The only thing really missing, you could make an argument for, would be a gardener to collect some herbs for these things, but they do function without herbs. That's the thing that you need to think about. So one thing I need for sure, yes, I realized what I'm missing here. I'm missing the granary. The town needs a granary in order to pick up the food that's being produced by the farms, which means I need to change the layout of the town slightly, and I will move the alcove and the herbalist ever so slightly. And I'll even put a gardener down here with some small gardens so that we can get, it's not a huge amount of herbs, but it will be enough to potentially use up some of the night soil and keep these guys happy. There's probably ways for me to optimize this a little bit better, but I think this is honestly, like, we're starting to get somewhere. This is really, really interesting because not only do we have this farming town, now we have this town down here, the common houses that are going to also be supplying workers for the area. And since we're producing maize, fruit and chili, we can set this granary to balance, which means it'll accept above 8, but it will like try to export, like it'll make the anything above 8 available for other granaries to pick up, meaning that food will flow through my village while it will also try to pick up anywhere that has an excess of fish. I've learned so much about the game. So much. Now, something I am considering, and actually, oh wow, I can't believe I didn't think of this before. We could have this village producing clay and fish, because this porta yard can store clay. Something to think about. I find it incredibly satisfying to terraform the land. We have reclaimed so much land, and it's been incredibly profitable for us. And I've decided that, you know, we're getting towards the end, right, of our 100 years. So I'm just gonna activate God mode and have a little bit of fun. You know, we managed to get ourselves up to about 24,000 population without God mode, but I'm just gonna activate it here, just to make things go a little quicker. And honestly, it's because I've felt this transition, right, from actually playing the game to becoming like a gardener, right, that I'm tending a beautiful little city that I'm just creating. I'm painting. I'm not really playing the game in the traditional sense anymore. I'm just painting things. Oh man, it's so much nicer when you place a Chinampa and it like instantaneously takes place. God mode is incredibly fun. I was expecting it to take the fun out of the game, but it's actually kind of, I don't want to say more fun, but it is of a reasonable level of fun all in of itself. We're up to 24.8 population, 24.8k population rather, or 2,500 citizens roughly speaking. Still got a pretty young population, 35%. We also have some joblessness, which ain't ideal. We gotta give the people some jobs. You know, employment for the masses. That's what I'm all about. I'm returning some land to the sea here with these canals. Just gonna place a whole bunch of them, and then if I delete them, in theory they should return to being swampy. Although I think doing that actually massively boosts the fertility of these tiles, which is kind of neat. Reclaimed land has fantastic fertility, which is a cool idea. I think I've hit like some sort of fundamental limit. I don't think I can have more farmers, unless I'm crazy. I may have hit some hidden limit. I may have broken the game in a way that the developer probably didn't expect. I'm not entirely sure on that front yet. I need to experiment a little bit more. But like these farmers' huts, they don't have population in them. Like they don't have farmers. They don't accept farmer jobs, which makes me think that like this number of farmers is the maximum. Like you can't do more than that. All right, I'm reclaiming all the land to make building simpler. I gotta make sure I got a surplus of clay again, actually. I'm pretty sure these workshops, oh yeah, look at all that wood, just completely filled. Happy days. Buildings have been collapsing all over the city for reasons I don't fully understand. Mostly it's due to fires, and I've kind of just been ignoring it. And I'm hoping that continuing to ignore it is a winning strategy. But yeah, if I've run out of farmer space, like it's gonna be rough because I was kind of relying on having more farmer space to be able to expand my town. It's gonna report this bug to the developer. Appears I no longer get farmer jobs once I get a certain amount. I think I need to create jobs. My people do not have enough jobs. We have 8% of people are jobless. So I'm trying to think, how do I make more jobs? We could create the turkey hutch meat creation paradise over here. That doesn't seem that particularly interesting to me. You know what does seem interesting though? Giving these people a bunch of shrines to worship at. Yeah, religion. Religion will create some jobs. I think it's safe to say that I've broken this game in immeasurable ways in the pursuit of this. And my hope is that the developer can hunt down all of the things that stood in my way, like the fact that farmer jobs stopped appearing. And one day we can reattempt this, but I'm gonna see, we've got another 26 years left. Let's see how far we can take it. Let's just, you know, we gotta keep making jobs. So the guys over here, I think we need jobs. I'm trying to think, like, what is a job that's repeatable? I suppose if I go God mode, I could create a whole bunch of industry over here. So sure, even industry that doesn't technically, like, exist, right, in theory? Wait, they started spawning jobs again. Oh, that's so weird. But they didn't. Huh. I guess they just spontaneously decided that jobs are good again. I'm on board with that. I like it. What we can do, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is we could set up some Magui farms using God mode. Now that the game is spontaneously accepting that I am actually playing the game again. I love how the turkeys and the deer are like crossing over the aqueduct. It's like an interesting thing. I don't know what to say about it. It's interesting. So these Magui farms should handle pretty much the entire city's cloth need, as well as pulque need. So I built some breweries and some clothiers. I don't know. Listen, at this point, I've slowly gone mad. And by slowly, I mean I am rapidly declining into insanity. I'm days away from becoming the Joker. Oh God, my computer is starting to chug. I think there's actually just like random bits of rubble like throughout my city from things that have burnt down. Like there's this random rubble over here. Stuff is just burnt down. Like slowly, all like the city is falling to decay. Not very quickly, just the occasional random building that gets set on fire. The firefighters just don't get there in time. I am curious, like what happens if I just build all of the houses ever? Like if I just do this and I'm like, yeah, make me all the houses. Will people move to my city? Will they just become enraged at the fact that I'm building infinite slums? I don't know. Maybe this is the housing of the future. This is the housing future that I want. I want housing forever. No amenities, no living standards, just housing. That's how radicalized I am about the housing market, is that I don't even want there to be a housing market. I just want there to be houses. So many houses. I want everyone to have houses. You get a house, and you get a house. And you know what? I don't think we should exclude the nobles from this housing, thing. There should be nice houses too. There should be just so many. Just like, yeah, look, we don't even need to. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Now those are nice houses right there. And then, you know what? I think we need more housing for people. I just feel like people need more homes. I think housing the poor, housing the sick, housing the, oh God, what have I done? Let me just undo some of this right now before things get a little too crazy. But yeah, I just think people should have houses. And I don't, is that a radical position? If so, call me a radical. Nobody lives in these houses, okay? But I'm pumping up my GDP. That's the important thing. What if I create government jobs for everybody? Oh, dude, hold on. Oh, the streets are going to be so clean. You don't even know, brother. How many jobs? Okay, I'm trying to think of like, what is the densest? I think it's got to be sweepers. If I just make all the sweepers, can I, using sweepers, stimulate the job market, thus stimulating people to move into my city? That is an interesting question that really no one should have asked. I'm going to be honest with you, nobody should have asked this question. And the fact that I asked this question is concerning. But I have asked this question, and now we're going to get an answer. What if I did like, oh shoot, I'm having an absolute brain blast. I figured it out. I think I figured it out, okay? Each one of these common homes can house 8 people, okay? Now, I don't think this game models starvation, which means if I build a common home, okay, and this common home is flanked by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sweepers, I've just created 80 population in my city, okay? And my streets are gonna be clean. That's another important part of this. My streets are gonna be super clean. Oh my God, you could see the game starting to like stutter. Yes. But I think this is literally the densest I can get the city to be. Oh, the game doesn't like what I'm doing. Oh, the game really doesn't like what I'm doing. It's not prepared. It's not ready for it. It doesn't like it. Okay, does this work? That's the question. Oh, dude, I can max out wages? People are gonna love jobs. They're gonna love their jobs. Who lives here? Why would you move here? Do not live in these houses. I'm not being serious. Stop. Why are you moving in here? Stop it. It's not meant to be a real thing. Oh, the game really doesn't like what's happening. Oh, it's like, I don't know if you can see it in the record. I can feel it. I can feel the game hating every second of what I've done to it. It's screeching in pain. Oh, it's okay. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Uh-oh. It's getting, well, you know what? Let's break the game a little bit. Oh, it didn't like this. It really didn't like this. You know what? If we build them if we build the rows of slums, 2 houses at a time, the game doesn't hate them so much, And so I think the trick is, if you're building slums, build them in rows of 2. Slumming it up. Do 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 do. I am the market. I am Jack's lack of housing. I'm the Joker, but for housing. The housing Joker, if you will. What a horrible city I'm building. What a nightmare. Would you live here? Why are people moving into these houses? There's literally a fire just spreading randomly. Stop moving in here. The people need jobs. We need Steve. Where's Steve Jobs? Oh my God. You could build residential walls? Oh shoot, sir. You get your own individual house inside a compound with residential walls. Oh, the game is chugging. Oh no, 30,000. If I get 30,000, I'll be happy. Okay, I think I need to end this video soon. The game is not happy. We hit 30,000, okay? 30,000 population, I'm gonna take that. We did only make it 78 years before I think my computer's actually going to melt. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. My temperatures are 95 degrees. That's mostly because I use air cooling and my computer's really badly built. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I love you all very much. Goodbye.